Good morning, everybody. I'm Mark Sussman. I'm the editor of Willamette Week. Absolutely delighted to be here with Christine and David Vernier. If you don't know who they are, you should. They have, since the early 80s, run a very successful educational software firm called Vernier. Is it Vernier Technology and Software?
Software and technology.
A significant employer in the metro area. Although I think the Verniers are perhaps better known for their extraordinary philanthropy, which we're going to talk about. Let's talk about your business. You develop, manufacture, sell educational software, educational sensors that finds itself into classrooms from elementary school to graduate school. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And you're selling all over the world. What's happened to your business in the last 45 to 60 days?
You want to do it?
No, go ahead.
Well, basically, it's gone down about 50 to 70%. So as soon as schools started shutting down, our orders just died off. And we still are getting a few international orders, but especially in the United States, schools aren't ordering because when you're teaching remotely, it's hard to teach. The students don't have the sensors and such that they would generally use in a science class.
We're all about hands-on science labs.
Right. Yours is a company that employs or employed well more than 100
Still does.
people.
Everyone's still working. Everyone's still fully employed.
And you folks pay very well, and reviews on Glassdoor. It's a great place to work. Your revenues are north of $50 million, or they were. You say you've experienced cuts 50% or more. That's a lot of money. So what's the status of your company right now?
Well, we were lucky enough to get a PPP loan, which was a godsend because that just means that we can pay our employees at least for a couple more months,
Right.
And not have to lay off anyone. So even though some people are not working much at all, they're still being paid. So that makes us feel good. We've never had to lay off people, so that's been great. And we've cut back on, of course, the conferences that we usually go to, the workshops, the in-person workshops that we do. So we're certainly cutting costs so that we can continue to pay our employees. So that's the plan going forward.
Well, so as many of our viewers may not know, the PPP, which is a federal loan program available to almost any business that has fewer than 500 employees, has been a godsend for a lot of small businesses. But the challenge is the money that you've been given, you basically have 8 weeks to spend.
Right.
And the question is, you keep all these people on the payroll for 8 weeks. What happens on week 9? If sales haven't recovered to where they were on March 1st, all you've done is kick the ball down the field. So what's your sense of what your company is going to be facing in week 9 and what you may have to do to accommodate?
Well, I think we hope sales will pick up a little. We think at least this year, schools do have a budget and they hopefully can spend that what has been sort of allocated for this year. And we hope that there'll be school in the fall. Now, who knows how this is going to go. But so we hope to have some sales and some business. And I think we'll make work for everybody else. Hopefully with limping along with some sales, we should be all right. We mentioned to you earlier when we were chatting, we do have right now a lot of international sales, especially to Russia. And hopefully those will keep up and kind of let us limp along.
Fingers crossed.
Every businessman and woman is sort of confronting the question as to whether what we're currently undergoing for their industry is cyclical or structural. In other words, the airline industry, is what they're going through cyclical, or is it possible that for the foreseeable future, travel is going to change, and that, the airplane industry is facing structural changes? Certainly in my business, people are saying that the newspaper business is facing something more serious than cyclical, it's structural, and smart people in my business have to rethink, what we do. Do you have a sense in your industry whether what you're facing is just a really significant downturn, or is it more structural? Is this going to affect the way in which kids are taught and therefore create opportunities for Vernier that maybe didn't exist?
I definitely think things are going to change in education, especially higher ed. And I think we're going to see more online, remote type learning. We've already sort of dabbled in that and are looking into it. We're now doing online webinars where we used to do workshops hands-on with people. So we're doing more things online, mostly to help teachers come up with ideas for ways to do their own teaching remotely.
Mhm.
But I think education will change, and we have to change with it. We're already looking into, we work with Oregon State right now. They use one of our sensors, a little cart, to do online physics classes. And each of the students buys it. It buys this little cart, and they can—
Cheaper than a textbook.
Yeah, and then and they can sell it back to the bookstore at the end of the year if they don't want to keep it.
Like a used textbook.
Yeah, and so and that's apparently worked out really well for this online class. So I see more of that sort of thing happening, where students can have a sensor in their hand to use when they're quote in class.
So let's talk about, you folks are so ingrained in the philanthropic and nonprofit community. I can't even name the number of nonprofits that you support. It just, they're all suffering right now. I'm just wondering if you have any observations, about what the world of nonprofits is facing.
I really worry about nonprofits. I think we're going to lose a lot of them, to tell you the truth. We're getting, of course, emails daily asking for donations, and we're trying to help the ones that we can as much as we can right now. But there's, at the end of the year, they're going to need those donations again, and I'm not sure we have the capacity to give again.
Right.
I've encouraged all of them to apply for PPP loans, and I think a lot of them have gotten those, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
But so many of them are just on the edge to begin with, and now I think many are just not going to make it.
Right.
I hope that there's some I hope that some of them join together and merge so that they can continue to do what they need to do. I mean, we need those nonprofits out there, and I'm just not sure how they can make it. I know the ones that I'm involved with are talking about layoffs. I think all of them are, and that's always very, very sad to see.
One of the things that in theory you do as a business person is you're always preparing for the worst, and you're staying up at night contemplating what could happen and prepare for it. I assume, like most business people, this is just something that you couldn't even contemplate or prepare for. Yeah. Is that correct?
Crazy. I think back, and why did we not do something? For one thing, sell all our stock. It's just amazing.
Yeah. We prepared for earthquake.
Yeah.
We did, I think we did a pretty good job in our
We're
office.
eating some of that stuff right now. It's not that great, but it's getting us through it.